Buenos días. Estoy en el día 7. I'm on day 7 now. The last day of my walk, and it's literally going to be just a couple of kilometers this morning to get to the next town of Unquera. I'm currently in Pesués, that's the place, and the hostel I'm staying in is called the Hostel Baviera. It's been a really comfortable stay here, quite basic, a small room, but incredibly clean, and the staff have been very friendly. My breakfast is included, so I'm going downstairs to have that in a moment. It cost me about 30 euros in total, so really good value. I also had dinner downstairs last night that was separate. When I got down to the restaurant, it was literally just me, and then a few minutes later another lady came in, and I was chatting to her, and she's another pilgrim. I think she's travelling with some other people, but she was just on her own last night. And so I asked her to come and, if she wanted to come and sit on the table with me so we could eat together. And we had a good conversation and a nice time over our dinner last night. So it's lovely when often complete strangers on the Camino you can have really lovely interactions with and spend time with, something which we probably don't do within in normal lives. She's Mexican, I think she said, and flown over from America to be here, so she's doing the whole Camino, and we had a lovely chat. With my meal came up entire bottle of wine, so actually it was quite good, so that I could share that with her, because knowing I needed to walk tomorrow, there was no way I was going to be able to have a whole bottle of wine last night. So anyway, I'm off on the Camino in a minute, just a couple of kilometres to get to Unquera, which is the town just before the border to Asturias. And sadly, that's where I'll be stopping to wait for my bus, hoping maybe because it's on the Camino route I might see some of the people that I've met through the journey, possibly passed through this morning if they haven't already gone to Colombres or San Vicente, the other two kind of bigger population centres either side of here, but fingers crossed. So now I'm going to go and get some breakfast anyway. I shall check in later when I'm ready to go. Corbatas here from Unquera for my breakfast pastry there. Really nice. I just had an amazing breakfast in the Hostel Baviera and some lovely chats with some of the pilgrims there. Just getting back on the route now to Unquera, my last destination of this Camino, and yeah, she'll be quite reflective over the next hour or so, because this is the end of my Camino for now. There's no doubt that I'll return. Just going to get off this main road, and then just going to talk about a few of the conversations I've had with the pilgrims at breakfast this morning. So just get on the route, and I shall check in again then. So sadly, this last bit of my route doesn't look particularly picturesque this morning. I seem to be just following the main road, but I haven't got many kilometres to go, and hopefully I'll find somewhere nice to stop in Unquera while I wait for the bus. I'm following in the footsteps of a lady I was talking to at breakfast this morning, and had decided to come on the Camino a few weeks ago. She's doing the whole Camino, we're trying to do the whole Camino, obviously dependent on her family situation back home, which kind of puts into perspective the lightness and freedom of my Camino in comparison to hers. We're both walking the same route, but my goodness, is hers different. She is walking. Stop a minute because it's busy here with traffic. She is walking with an earpiece in her ear the whole time, making sure that her phone is fully charged. The earpiece is her connection to home, where she heard last night that there was a drone attack really close to her house. It just makes me feel quite sad to think that how light my Camino is in comparison to hers, and how she's walking constantly with the earpiece to find out if her family are okay at home. And we had a nice conversation this morning at breakfast. She's going on today, but yeah, this walk is just incredible, really. Evokes lots of emotions, tests you, challenges you, makes you meet, allows you to meet people from all over the world in different situations. In contrast to my other conversation at breakfast, which was from the lady who I had dinner with last night again, and we were chatting. Her family was there, her son and her daughter-in-law, and we were chatting about where she comes from. They live in Arizona, the landscape in Arizona, how different it is, the difference between things that we say in our English and the American English. And we were laughing, and it was very light-hearted. But yeah, the contrasts are huge. Anyway, I'm carrying on to Unquera now. See a hotel in front of me called Corbatas Unquera, named after the famous pastries that are there. So I'm going to carry on walking, sadly along this road, but that's how it is. And should check in probably now when I get to Unquera, because it's not particularly picturesque here. If I ever want a palmera gigante, a giant palmera pastry, I'll know where to come. And Corbatas again, of course. Seems if you want to have dinner at the Restaurante La Corbata here, it could be one of about 5 or 6 different restaurants, La Corbata. So everything is called La Corbata. You certainly couldn't get away from the fact that they have these famous pastries here called Corbatas. Horse riding lesson going on over there. Little concerning the sign, Caballos del Deva, the horses from Deva. But it also a sign for a grill on the same sign as the horse riding lessons. A big chunk of what I really hope isn't horse meat. But who knows? ¿Quién sabe? I don't think there's a way out there actually. No lo sé. Here I am in Unquera. Last sign I will see today on foot. So I've just found the bus stop where I need to be later to catch the bus back to Bilbao. I've actually got 3 hours until that point, but obviously did that on purpose to make sure I had plenty of time. These things look closed here still. So I think I'm just going to walk on to the border with Asturias, because it's only like a kilometre or so in that direction. Might come back here and get a café con leche later while I wait for the bus. Maybe just get off the main road for a few minutes and head to the place where, let's hope in a year's time or so, I might be able to continue my walk from Unquera into Asturias. Of course, we have a hotel Corbatas here. Santa Panes and Potes, which are beautiful villages in the Picos de Europa mountains, a little bit further from here. And this is the main street in Unquera. just in case you were in any doubt of where we are. Somewhere where they make corbatas, apparently. Wasn't sure up until this point. And royal corbatas también. I was thinking for a moment I wasn't going to be able to cross the bridge. So a policeman there has it cordoned off to traffic, but thankfully not to pedestrians. So here we are. This is literally Cantabria on this side of the bridge, and the other side of the river here is Asturias. So I've got to put my foot into the region before I leave today. And think about my intentions to return to this place with Unquera as my starting point. Lovely picos over there in the distance, and here I go, walking into Asturias. So adios, hasta luego Cantabria. Buenos días, Asturias. Voy a volver. Espero. I hope I will return. And in the not too distant future. So this might be a nice quiet place to reflect a bit over here. On this little grass verge, looking over the mountains by the Rio Deva, the River Deva. So I feel like I've crossed the bridge, physically and metaphorically, in the sense that rather than the bridge of no return, the bridge of the fact that I will always return. I will return to this route, I'll return to the Camino. I see now why it's so addictive. The adversities, it's tough. There are moments when there are worries, storms coming in, bad weather, not feeling right. I had my little moment in Corbatas when I felt really quite poorly, didn't know if I'd make those kilometres to where I had to get to that day, Comillas, but I did. And I'm here now in Asturias. I shall cross back over the bridge to Cantabria in a minute and wait for my bus back to Bilbao. But now seems like a good time to think about those thoughts I had at 4 a.m. in Comillas the day after I was feeling poorly. That morning, ironically, before I started feeling not so good, that morning coming from Santillana was incredible. The views, I felt so good coming down into, before I got to Corbatas. Scenery was just out of this world. The beaches, the landscape, the countryside, the animals, it was incredible. But yeah, when I finally got to Comillas fairly early and had to go to sleep fairly early and not feeling too good, then woke up at 4 a.m. with all these thoughts whirring around in my head.
those thoughts that you sometimes have, sometimes back home, maybe about something you're worried about or something you need to do. For me, it was very much about the meaning of the Camino, why I've done it, how I feel going forward. So I wrote those notes down at 4 a.m. because otherwise I thought I might forget them. So I'm actually going to read some of them now, so forgive me for reading. But here we go. Some 4 a.m. thoughts and notes that I wouldn't have been able to make this morning, as in that morning in Comillas, if I had been staying in that communal hostel, because I would have woken everyone up going through my backpack for my notebook and my pen. But thankfully, because I didn't feel that well, I did manage to have my own room and could happily scribble away at 4 a.m. before I went back to sleep. So I had to write them down as I was frightened that I might forget them. As I think sometimes I forget these things in life itself. We're so busy, aren't we, with everything that we do, that sometimes we forget things that are really, really important because we don't have time to reflect. So despite the exhaustion of the Camino, the adrenaline has kept me awake every night. It's true, I have slept well in some ways, but in many ways I'm just waking up with that urge to move on because it's so exciting. Like the Camino, you don't know what you're going to come across each day, and each day is new people, new things, new conversations, new experiences. So that excitement to return each day to the Camino, because I've loved all of it. Other than that moment when I was poorly, I've loved all of it. So the excessive amount of time I've had to think, we don't have in everyday life, and you have it on the Camino. It makes it a very spiritual journey as well as the physical, putting one foot in front of the other each day. So everyone makes their own journey. I've talked about this. The Camino is such a personal thing. Everyone comes on it for different reasons. I came on it because I wanted time to reflect, but also because, having been lucky enough to visit this landscape before, I know how beautiful it is and wanted to return to it. It is something that I've always wanted to do since I read that book when I was about 16, 17 years of age, about the Frances Camino. I'm doing the Camino del Norte, but the book I read was about the original route, which I hear now these days is very, very busy, and maybe doesn't give you quite the solitude to reflect that this northern route has given me. So everyone makes their own Camino, physically and metaphorically. The Camino is like a path through life itself. Ups and downs, physical ups and downs, mental ups and downs. My life, just like everyone else's, has had its own issues and problems. Although recently I felt much more equipped to work through those, mainly due to the change of career I made 4 or 5 years ago. It's allowed me for a less stressful life. My life still has its stresses and its ups and downs like everyone else's, but my work has given me the ability to cope better with those. So I actually came on the Camino very content with my life. I think some people come on the Camino because they're not content, they're looking for answers. But I'm very grateful for everything that I have. I wasn't really expecting any great revelations on this Camino because I feel content at the moment. So I wasn't expecting for anything really to reveal itself. But of course, at 4 a.m. on the penultimate day, the revelation came that I wasn't expecting. And now it all makes sense. I have a confession to make, and that is, and I'm going to say this bit in Spanish because that's how I felt it, but estoy totalmente enamorada con esta tierra. I'm totally in love with this land, this place here in Cantabria. Me ha recordado quién soy. It's helped me remember who I am, the things that are important to me in my life. Everything about this walk is who I am. I'm a mother to 2 absolutely incredible daughters, teenagers. So they have their challenges, but absolutely incredible daughters who I'm immensely proud of and I love completely. I'm a wife to a long-suffering husband who has tried to support me through everything I do, and I also love dearly, and has allowed me to come away on this walk, which is purely for myself. But I'm also me. And it's easy to forget with the franticness of daily life what it means just to be you, especially when you're a mother and all the responsibilities that that entails. So I am this ground. Soy esta tierra. I am this earth, this ground. The animals, the incredible views, the determination to do this walk on my own. This is me, this is my soul. Esta es mi alma. I had a dream that was born when I lived here 27 years ago in Cantabria. Well, actually not in Asturias, in Cantabria, over the water there. And modern life has dulled it a bit, the busyness. But the Camino has made it shine again for me. And I do feel enlightened and ready to follow that dream again. And my dream, mi sueño, es que un día viviré aquí. One day I might live here in Cantabria. And I will have a garden with a lemon tree and a lime tree, like those ones I passed. And I'll spend my days growing tomatoes and walking along the coast, the Costa Cantábrica. Tendré un jardín con limoneros y limones y pasaré mis días cuidando una huerta, a vegetable garden, looking after a vegetable garden con tomates y caminando por la Costa Cantábrica and walking along the Cantabrian coast. I'm not in any way religious, but for want of a better way to describe it, a Garden of Eden, because all the gardens here are so beautiful, so untouched, so natural, just part of the landscape. And that beauty is in the simplicity itself. So, at the end of this walk, where I wasn't looking for revelations or ideas of anything particular in my life, it's brought me closer to this countryside again, this landscape that I always knew I loved but had forgotten a little bit, and that need to return here. So that's how I'm ending my Camino today, and I shall go back to try some no, I've had some corbatas, haven't I? I've had a couple of corbatas this morning. I don't know if I'll be able to escape corbatas in Unquera, but I'll be going back for a coffee before I wait at the bus stop later for my trip to Bilbao. So I'm going to say hasta luego, until the next time, hasta la próxima, maybe in a year when I return to continue my Camino in Asturias, and who knows what will happen then, who I might meet. Hasta la próxima. One last side note before I go. Apparently there are still 400 brown bears in the area between Cantabria and Asturias. So there we go. I'm quite pleased I didn't see one, but they are still here.